is also a little bit of a problem. Now, I apologize to any listeners who may find that this podcast sounds a little bit slow. It is very, very early in the morning, and we've opted to do this one. So I
Like four.
apologize for that. I can tell that Clue is rather tired.
Yeah, it's like 4:33, and I
Yeah,
popped it on all but a terrible headache.
it's
So
very, very, it's a very weird night. A lot of things going on. So apologize for that. But continuing on with what we were saying, speaking of like the whole Crimecraft thing, another game that actually did very poorly was All Points Bulletin, which was a game that had a
yeah,
lot of
I
promise with a
heard.
lot of people.
I
And
thought I thought the game was going to do great,
yeah, I thought it
but
was going to do good also, but I've actually read reports that apparently the companies that are kind of higher up watching it, they're actually planning on closing it. I'm not sure if it's to that point yet, but they, in all seriousness, it seems to have collapsed on itself. So
that was one of the games that I had a watch on for a while. Like I had I'm going to follow this game, and it looks like a game that I'm going to be playing for
yeah,
sure.
we had mentioned it when it was announced that it
And
seemed pretty good.
and because I was like, okay, an MMO, that's kind of like Grand Theft Auto. Sounds great, right? Like, doesn't sound great like running around in a city with a bunch of other people. But
Yep.
then like it just kind of went away from what I thought was going to be good, and then I don't know, like everyone's saying it's not so great, and
A lot of
like
people are saying just a lot of the mechanics were very like when you think of a Grand Theft Auto game, I mean, if you're playing any sort of open world game, and I don't just want to say Grand Theft Auto, like any game, even a game like Mercenaries 2 that didn't do that well, even a game like that, it does what you expect. I mean, you can blow stuff up. You could blow up skyscrapers in that game. You could steal a bunch of vehicles, drive them around, do a lot of interesting missions, do some crazy stuff. But in those kind of games, usually a lot of the side quests and side missions are still quite fleshed out. There's things you can do. And apparently one of the problems with All Points Bulletin was that there was a lot of things that just seemed like they should work a different way. Like things that were just not as fleshed out as they could have been given how long the game was in development.
yeah, and like I heard a lot of people like the gameplay is really boring. It was like if you're a criminal, you basically go up to something, hit like a button, it does something, then you have to go into an encounter with the other police force people, and then you fight them, and then if you lose the encounter, you have to go and hit the button again and try it again.
Yeah.
And if you win the encounter, then you have to go to a different place and hit the button again to steal something else. So like I guess to a lot of people, and which it does sound pretty boring, I guess. Maybe just because I'm half asleep here, but because yeah. So it seemed kind of like boring, and a lot of people complained about it. I think someone made like a funny little flow chart for it too.
Yeah.
So they weren't too happy with that. So I think that's one of the things. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really see much about it. I kind of just
I kind of lost interest in it
bit.
right
Yeah,
around its open beta. So,
yeah, same here, pretty much.
so I'm reading an article here actually about the company Real Time Worlds, who is actually the developer of All Points Bulletin. Apparently, they've collapsed. Um, so, some sort of bankruptcy talk here. So, the future of that game is looking pretty grim, I guess. Which again is unfortunate. It's falling into the same thing. Really, when a game like All Point Bulletin comes out, they should really look at like, and again, it sounds so hypocritical. There's such a soft spot when making a game between what works and what needs to be improved. And sometimes when people make a game, they don't even really consider what was working in the game that they're trying to base themselves off of, which was obviously Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
What did people enjoy doing in Grand Theft Auto? And, why don't they enjoy doing it on All Points Bulletin? What is it about this game that they don't enjoy doing? I mean, people still play GTA 4 online. Why is that? So,
yeah, and yeah, that's yeah, exactly like there has to be a fine line between improving something and coming up with a stupid idea that no one's gonna like. You know, which is why you have to listen. Developers have to listen to their beta testers and their community. I mean, I know you can't like rearrange the entire game engine, but you know, there's certain little things here and there that if the community doesn't like it, then you should probably listen to them because they are
because
the
they are
people.
the people who are going to be paying, a monthly fee to play your game. And that's really what it comes down to. And I think game developers in the next couple of years especially are going to start realizing that they really do have to listen to what their gamers want, because even like we spoke about the mainstream market of console games and how a lot of the games are becoming very similar in the mainstream market. A lot of even those gamers, the newer gamers who are playing the Xbox and stuff like that, even they're eventually going to get tired of the same things. It may not happen right away, but it is going to happen. And without innovations, those game developers are going to have problems as well. Not as much, simply because it takes a lot less to satisfy that market. But it is going to happen. Eventually, every gamer gets burnt out of the same things, new or old. So...
Yeah, I mean, how many more Modern Warfares or Call of Duties can you take? Like,
yeah.
At some point, you're going to be like, wait, why did I even buy this new one? It's the same as the last one.
It is, yeah. I mean, that's I'm getting the Modern Warfare 2 syndrome when I look at Black Ops, but like we had said, there are a few promising features of Black Ops, so we will check that game out inevitably.
Yeah.
But, I'm honestly... I've said this before, but I really do think that Black Ops is going to be the last Call of Duty game that I invest any time into, simply because the only reason I'm checking it out is because it seems to be fixing some of the things I really disliked about Modern Warfare 2, which was some of the weapon damage and recoil and just some added features. So if it does disappoint, which there is a large margin that it might, then it will be the last Call of Duty game that I check out. I still think Call of Duty 2 and 4 were the best in the series. 4 being a little bit under 2 in my opinion, but still being quite good. I mean, I know you liked Call of Duty 4 quite a bit.
Yeah, I played that so many
Call
hours.
of Duty 4 just had its mechanics good. It had good weapon damage.
It was weapons weren't like ridiculously accurate, and you could bunny hop and...
Did you lose yourself in thought
like a barricade?
I think we had some internet connection problems there.
It's quite possible, yes.
Yeah, you just dropped down to 2 bars there, so apologize for that quick hiccup. You left out with bunny hopping. That's where you cut out.
Yeah. I like bunny hopping and then jumping behind like a barricade or something, and popping back up and shooting the guy, right? Like, it's awesome when you can, survive an encounter by running away, I guess.
By having better movement.
And better. Yeah, you know how to move better, and you have better reflexes, and it just makes it feel a lot more rewarding.
And it also increases the skill gap between new players and older players. That's why a lot of people hate things like bunny hopping, because it just seems like a really annoying thing, but it's actually, it's something that the players have developed as a skill. So,
yeah, exactly, and that's why I like it, because it's challenging for the player. Excuse me. It's challenging for the player, and that's doing it, and you have to know, where the nearest cover is, and the best way to get behind it and not end up getting killed, and for me, that was like a really awesome thing, because especially when I'm playing Bad Company 2, if I'm playing Recon or something and I'm counter-sniping other Recons, or even, just fighting other people, I'll end up like shooting at them and then jumping off of a building or something, And when I do that, it kind of reminds me of bunny hopping. You can't lay down in Bad Company 2, but it kind of reminds me of bunny hopping, because like you're changing positions and they can't really predict where you're going to be at, and it feels really rewarding when you pop out around a different corner and shoot the guy in the face or something, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about that game, and with Modern Warfare 2, you don't really get a chance to do that because you get killed.
People die in like 2 bullets from a gun that shoots 1,000 bullets per second, which was a huge gripe with me.
Yeah, across the map, and that's one of the things like I just couldn't stand. I'm like, so, like in COD 4, I could go and stand in the middle of the map, and some guy would run over there and starts shooting at me, and I could like duck down, pop up, a few feet over, and shoot back at him and kill him. But in Modern Warfare 2, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
And
it's not to be confused with realism. People argue that all the time, that it's more realistic to die in 3 shots. Well, yeah, that is true. But it's also not very realistic to have dead accurate guns with 0 recoil that, I mean, if you can find a real-life modern soldier, and now I am no military expert, but if you can find a real-life modern soldier who sees a enemy soldier a mile away, and the first thing he does is pull out a Uzi and spray an entire clip at him with dead accuracy and just nails him. I mean, if you can find somebody who does that, then by all means I will take back what I said about realism, but it'd be pretty close to find.
There's different games for different things. Like there's combat simulators, and those are based on realism,
Yeah.
If you get shot, you can bleed out, so you need to stop the
The
bleeding.
things we want from our games really are mechanics that make the game enjoyable.
Yeah, we want something that's fun. There's a difference between realism, and there's a difference between realism and a difference between fun for most people, anyway. Because some people would rather, like, I like the more fast-paced, I guess, kind of thing. Not like Unreal Tournament fast, but like something that's, pretty...
Somewhere in between, I guess.
Yeah, like somewhere in between. Nothing too slow. Like Bad Company 2 is kind of like a little bit slow for me, but like if I just charge into the middle of a group of people, then it's pretty fast for me. But so yeah, I like games that are a little bit faster. But like with Modern Warfare 2, the only way to get a decent score, if you're doing like, if you're trying to...
I believe we're having another internet hiccup on your side there.
The only way to get a decent score is to stay back and play really defensively.
And camp and abuse the kill streak.
Yeah, and abuse the kill streaks and abuse like positions in the map where they're not going to spawn. And I mean, you don't necessarily have to camp like sitting out the top of a stairwell, and that's the only way they can get into you. But you have to play really defensively, and in most cases, I mean, sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you rush and you get good scores. But that's it. Just kind of takes away from what's fun for me, because I liked in COD 4, going into like a 4v4 match or something, and just bringing in a good old ACOG 50 cal sniper and screwing around on like ambush or something, jumping off of tanks and shooting at people at their spawn, stuff like that. Just random fun things like that, and or like spraying at someone with an AK, on can't remember the map. It's pretty. I can't remember the name of it, but like and also with COD 4, the guns are a lot less accurate, and that's really nice because I mean, yeah, if you just go, if you do nice little burst fire, it's pretty accurate, but it's just accuracy and recoil and how many bullets it takes to die really makes a huge difference, for me anyway.
All right, so I hate to interrupt you, but we are reaching our hour point here.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, what to look forward to from the channel? This podcast is probably a little bit slower, maybe a little bit more laid back than our other ones. Like I said, it is 5 o'clock in the morning. But what to look forward to? We're going to start doing more gameplay videos between podcasts. Look forward to a lot more commentary, a lot more, just dual commentary videos, gaming videos, maybe some reviews. But thank you for checking out the podcast. We really appreciate it. Anybody who subscribed or continues to check it out. That's really all I've got to say for the closing. So I appreciate you watching episode 3 of the Rogue Cannon podcast. Hopefully next episode we'll have additional people to speak with. And I guess good night.
Good night, guys. Peace out.